All right, so we're diving deep today into something that honestly kind of blew my mind a little bit when I first read it.
Oh, yeah. Lay it on me.
It's Romans 12.1 to 2.
Okay, yeah, powerful stuff.
Seriously powerful stuff. It's
Yeah.
all about like how to live a life that really lines up with your faith. But honestly, even if you're not like super religious or anything,
Right.
the ideas in here, they're like universal.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. This passage, it gets at something like so fundamental.
It's about meaning, purpose,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Exactly. That search for meaning. Everyone's on that journey, right? Whether they realize it or not.
Totally. And the thing that really threw me off at first was this idea of being a living sacrifice.
Yeah, I can see that. That's
Intense, right?
a little intense, yeah. Especially because, back then, animal sacrifices, that was the norm.
Totally.
But this passage, it completely flips that whole concept on its head.
So what does it mean then to be a living sacrifice?
Well, think of it like this. It's about dedicating yourself completely to a purpose. Okay.
You're offering your time, your energy, heck, even your whole self as a way to serve something bigger than yourself.
So it's not about, actually setting yourself on fire, thankfully.
No. No fire involved.
Okay, good. So it's more like dedicating your actions, your talents, like your whole life, really, to something truly meaningful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, hitting the nail on the head.
But the passage doesn't stop there, right?
Nope, it goes even deeper.
It says this kind of dedication, it's wholly acceptable unto God. I mean, how do we even begin to make our lives reflect that?
Yeah, and a lot of people get hung up on that word holy, but it doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. You don't have to be perfect or, sinless or whatever.
Right.
Think of it more like being set apart. You're dedicating yourself to a higher purpose.
Okay.
And this idea, it's not unique to Christianity. You see it in lots of different spiritual traditions.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Well, Buddhism, for example, that emphasis on living a mindful life, on detaching from desires.
Right. That's a form of being set apart, right?
Yeah, I see that. So it's like walk the walk, don't just talk the talk.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next part of this passage.
Okay, hit.
Reasonable service.
Reasonable service. I mean, honestly, sometimes living with purpose feels anything but easy.
Right.
So how is that reasonable?
I'm so glad you brought that up because it is hard. This whole living with purpose thing, it's not a walk in the park.
No kidding.
But here's the thing. When you are aligned with something bigger than yourself, when your actions have real meaning,
Yeah.
it brings a deep sense of peace. Like you're on the right path even when it's tough.
It's like that feeling when you're working on a project and you're exhausted, totally drained,
Yeah.
but you know it matters. And suddenly the struggle feels worth it.
Exactly. That's it. And that's what makes it reasonable. The peace, the sense of purpose, it outweighs the difficulty.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that. Now there's this line in here that really hits home for me, especially today. Be not conformed to this world.
Oh, yeah. That one's a biggie.
It is. Because like everywhere we look, there's this pressure to fit in, right?
Yeah.
To buy certain things, to think a certain way.
It's relentless.
It's relentless. So how does this verse apply to like our modern world? With all the distractions and everything.
I think it's about recognizing those pressures, first of all.
Okay.
Like just being aware of them and then consciously choosing what you align yourself with.
So making intentional choices about what influences you.
Exactly. Back when this was written, early Christians, they faced some serious consequences for their beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
They had to resist the dominant culture, even if it meant being ostracized or worse.
Right.
We might not face the same risks today, at least not in most parts of the world. But we still have to decide what values we're not willing to compromise on.
Even if it means standing out.
Even if it means standing out, which, let's face it, can be really hard.
It's that age-old struggle, right? Fitting in versus being authentic.
Exactly. And that tension, it never really goes away.
So, okay, how do we actually do that? How do we resist conforming? Because the next part of this passage, that's where things get really interesting.
All right, let's hear it.
Be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that one's powerful.
It sounds huge, right?
It is huge. And it can be a bit overwhelming, too.
Like, how do we even begin to renew our minds?
Well, it's important to remember that it's not like a one-time makeover.
Okay, so it's not like, boom, new mind.
No, it's a process. It's ongoing. And it starts with building self-awareness.
Okay, I'm listening.
Ask yourself, do my thoughts and beliefs actually reflect who I want to be? And if not, how can I shift them?
That's deep.
It is deep. And there are lots of tools that can help with this. Think mindfulness, meditation.
Right.
Even journaling can be super helpful. Or having deep, meaningful conversations with people who challenge your perspective.
It's about being intentional about what you let into your mind, right?
Exactly. It's not about emptying your mind completely, but about filling it with the right stuff, the stuff that nourishes your soul, the stuff that helps you grow.
And all of this, it leads to the last part of the passage, which honestly always kind of felt a little mystical to me.
Which part's that?
Prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Like, how are we supposed to figure that out? It feels almost impossible.
I hear you. You don't need a crystal ball or anything, though.
Okay, good.
It starts with looking inward, What lights you up? What gives you that deep sense of purpose? What feels truly meaningful?
I like that.
And it's also about paying attention to what life throws your way. The opportunities that come up, the doors that open or close. Sometimes the path reveals itself in ways you just wouldn't expect.
You know what? That reminds me of this time I was like totally lost career-wise. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And then this random series of events happened.
Yeah.
And it led me to this new path, something I never even imagined for myself. It really felt like things were just falling into place, like I was being guided towards it,
And that's the beauty of it. When you are aligned with your purpose, when you're open to possibilities, life can unfold in incredible ways.
I love that.
So, to kind of wrap things up, this whole passage, it's about offering ourselves fully,
Yeah.
striving to live out our values, align ourselves with something bigger than ourselves.
It's about renewing our minds, resisting the pressure to conform, even when it's tough.
Exactly. It's a lifelong journey, but it's so worth it.
It really is. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. How might not conforming to the world actually lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself? Something to ponder as you navigate your own journey. Thanks for diving in with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.